This plan is a political military plan. It is not a military plan. And even so far in the development of the plan, we've been completely engaged at every level with the State Department. Secretary Mattis has spoken to Secretary Tillerson. I've spoken to Secretary Tillerson. His representatives have been part of the process. The intelligence community has been represented in the process. Treasury Department will be represented in the process. So this is a military plan. And as you correctly point out, I think all of us that have participated in these conflicts over the last 15 years realize that anything we do on the ground has to be in the context of political objectives, or it's not going to be successful. What I would tell you, though, and I can't address the options. We're in the business of providing the options to the president, and that means the entire team. So we're in the business of providing integrated options to the president to deal with the challenge that he's articulated. But I can tell you how this will be framed. Not only, will it be a whole of government approach, but let's talk about the problem we're trying to solve. This is not about Syria and Iraq. It's about a trans-regional threat. In this particular case, we're talking about ISIS, but it's also al-Qaeda and other groups that present a trans-regional threat. And so when we go to the president with options, it'll be in the context of a trans-regional threat. And I would highlight to you, from my perspective, the three things that make it a trans-regional threat. There's obviously the flow of foreign fighters, and we estimate probably over 100, 120 countries have provided 45,000 foreign fighters just to Syria and Iraq alone. So that's one element that makes it a trans-regional threat. The flow of resources is also an area that makes it a characteristic that makes it a trans-regional threat. And the third area is the narrative. And so, our plan, I think, to be successful needs to, number one, cut the connective tissue between regional groups that now form a trans-regional threat. And so you got to cut that connective tissue, and that connective tissue is those characteristics I just described. And then working in combination with local forces and coalition forces, drive the threat down to the level where local law enforcement and security forces can deal with that threat. And therefore, first and foremost, it's incapable then of planning and conducting operations against the United States, which is, at the end of the day, and I think unapologetically, our first priority is to protect the homeland, the American people, from this threat. But also, that's not inconsistent with trying to help our allies and partners to do the same.